If you are someone who is responsible for answering AI ROI related queries, then I can understand your pain. The problem is organizations have put a lot of money in AI investment, but nobody thought about how we will measure the ROI of this. To measure ROI of any investment, you need to have a base value and then you need to see how much I am getting on top of this, right? The problem is those structures are not defined properly. Welcome to Unfold Data Science. My name is Aman and in this video I am going to talk about a structure on how can you compute ROI for your organization. This will not only help you know about how AI projects are built and scaled, but also have a very concrete conversation with your senior stakeholders. I am going to show you a demo also in Python where I will tell you this is how the numbers can be calculated. But first, let's see in PPT what are the things you should be mindful about before we even go to the calculation, because AI is different from other things. There is no direct way of measuring things. So let's see where to start from. So first of all, we are going to understand the ROI measurement crisis in the world of AI. So I'll be showing you some numbers here. For example, as you can see, 75% of AI initiatives fail to deliver expected ROI. And this comes from IBM CEO study. 67% of enterprises lack visibility into which AI tools employee use. This again, if it happens, you can't measure the ROI. This again comes from a reputed report. 5.2 times higher confidence in AI investment with rigorous ROI framework. This comes from Gartner research. And then 29% of leaders say that they can measure AI ROI confidently. This is just 29%. This again comes from IBM Think Circle. Okay. So the thing is, vibe based AI spending is happening in the world of AI now. What is vibe based AI spending? Someone feels that if I put money in AI, something good is going to happen. That's my gut feel. That is called vibe based spending. So researchers at MIT and Laridian call this an era of vibe based spending. Organizations track AI adoption, but almost none measure actual productivity improvements or business value. So you should have a framework to measure the actual productivity and business value, right? So this is the at a high level what are the stats around measurement crisis. Now I am going to walk you through what are the different gaps, what practitioners measure versus what the CFO actually wants. Normally, how we measure goodness of our project or our initiative or anything we do using AI is we will go and see F1 score, precision, recall, or latency, or token throughput, or embedding quality score, or Raga's evaluation metric, or prompt template version, or context window utilization. So if you keep thinking in technical dimension, right, there will be many things that can be measured, and we can say that our AI is working very nicely, right? But that is not what CFO wants, or that is not what business owner wants. What they want is, if I am putting money somewhere, then what's happening to my money, right? They want revenue impact, they want cost reduction, they want hours saved converted to dollar value, they want cost per AI query, they want ROI percentage. How do you show that? They want payback period, they want competitive advantage evidence. Then only they can attract more investment, right? The problem is left hand side things we know how to measure, but right hand side things we don't know how to measure, and that is the problem. Nobody taught us how to translate left to right. That's the gap in the industry now. Because suppose I'm using an AI assisted coding, for example cloud code, how much money I'm consuming and how much benefit I'm gaining, where is the structure to measure that, right? That's the problem. So this is your measurement gap you should be aware of. Now I'm going to show you first of all the 4-stage ROI maturity model that you should know. So basically, whenever we talk of any organization, right, we should understand at what level they are now in terms of maturity. So the first level is exploring. Are people using AI? So here you can just see active users, tool adoption percentage, query volume, and user satisfaction. Very beginner level. Many companies have already passed this level, right? So if you are at this level, you can measure these things. If you are in level 2, that is optimizing, is AI saving time and money? How can you do that? You have to see hours saved, cost per query, throughput increase, and automation rate. if you have some solid evidence to look at these things, right, then you can say that yes, AI is helping me to optimize things. Now comes the enhancing. Is it improving quality? For example, if I'm using AI, is my error rate reducing? Is my CSAT delta changing? Is my decision quality improving? Is my resolution rate improving? So basically, with the help of AI, when I'm building code or when I'm writing unit tests or when I'm writing user stories, am I able to do it faster and with better quality? That is your enhancing. Okay, so this is your level 3 after optimizing. And then final thing comes transformation. So basically, this is the stage where you are in position to measure the actual ROI, because many people are using AI, many people know how to optimize it, many people know enhancements, and now you can drive new revenue using AI or save cost or justify the investment in a much better way. So revenue from AI products, market speed, innovation cycle time. If you are able to help business in these areas, obviously you are into stage 4 and you are going to get lot better with AI working as a weapon for you. So these 4 stage ROI maturity model you should understand, and which stage what should be measured, and don't try to measure something that can't be measured at a stage. For example, if you try to measure resolution rate where people have just started using AI, that's not making any sense, right? So ROI maturity model you should see. Now let me try to show you the ROI calculation step by step. You can take the screenshot of this slide because this is the most important slide. Okay, this is how you translate technical metric into CFO language. First of all, track use. Whatever AI query someone is firing, whether from AI assisted agent or normally going to Copilot or GPT, those things you can track. Who did this, which tool they use, token counts. So automated via API gateway logs, no manual surveys. So sometimes what happens is in some organization people do manual surveys of who is using AI, who is not using. No manual survey is needed if we have a log and we can track the usage from that log. This is your step 1. This step 2 is you have to somehow, I am saying somehow here intentionally because that somehow will change based on organization. You have to somehow measure time saved. How do you measure that? You need to have a baseline per task. Let's take an example of Jira story writing. Suppose a BA tells that I used to write Jira story in, let's say, 45 minutes before, and after I have started using AI, I am writing in 20 minutes, right? So we should have before and after baseline per task. You don't need to go to org level to find this. You can take a sample of people from every department and get this. And then average minutes saved per query into total queries is equal to total time saved. This way we can compute a ballpark number. So just measure what is the time you are saving. This cannot happen if you scale it on the day 1, but just build a framework and then later you can scale it. Okay, so track use, then measure time saved. Once you have time saved measured, then you can calculate values. So for example, if that BA was getting billed, let's say $100 per hour, then how much of time of that BA you are saving using AI? That is your calculate value metric to be captured. For example, hour saved into blended hourly rate. So how much is the hourly rate of that BA and how much time of that BA you are saving? That is time saved into dollar value. And this is what CFO understands. If you talk too technical, nobody is going to understand at senior stakeholder level. You have to tell my BA is saving roughly 2 hours of a day. My BA charge is $100 per hour and $200 per hour is what I am saving. That's it every day. And to save $200 per hour, these many queries I am firing and the charge of query is this much. So this is your value calculation part. Then comes compute total cost. So it's not only how much you are getting from the APIs or how much you are getting from the model charge. You should compute your platform license, infra, team time spent on building, maintaining, shadow AI. So all these things you should consider. You should basically put some numbers for that as well. Once you have this total cost, right, then you can, this value and this value you can compare. Then you can report ROI basically. Value generated minus total cost divided by total cost into 100. present monthly trend, not just a snapshot, show the trajectory. So this is how you have to take this forward. First, you should build a framework where on one hand you have the value, on other hand you have the cost, and then you compare both these and then you show that this is how much cost I am saving. Remember, ROI is equal to hours saved into hourly rate. This is what you are saving minus total AI cost. Okay, total AI cost is what you are spending. This part you are saving, this part you are spending, and then you are computing the percentage. So ROI, what is the percentage ROI that you can compute? If you want, you can take a screenshot, share in your office group, share in different groups, you talk AI ROI, and this is a useful slide for you. Now I want to tell you 5 ROI measurement anti-patterns, which means these are the things that will not let you measure your ROI in a better way. What are these? First of all, if you don't have a baseline, so we discussed about BA's time saved and BA's hourly rate. If you don't have those things, how can you measure, right? So if you don't have baseline, you can't measure. Then don't measure activity. So sometimes what happens is organization will go and measure activity. For example, 60% people are using Gen AI and so on. That's not a right way to measure ROI. So you should go and measure the impact, not the activity. Okay. Then what you should do is you should not do one time measurement. Normally many a times one time measurement is done. AI ROI compounds over time. Monthly tracking shows the trajectory that convinces leadership to keep investing. So no one time measurement, it should be a continuous measurement. Okay. Then total cost you can't ignore. If you remember, I included the infra cost and all that in total cost, so you should not ignore, because API cost is only 30% of real cost. You should add infra, maintenance, compliance, shadow AI, etc. And then wrong stage metric. Don't force revenue metric on stage 1. As I told you, based on the maturity model, right, you have to decide what you want to measure. Don't report adoption rate at stage 3. Match metric to maturity. Okay, so this also slide important if you want to have a screenshot. And then what is the CFO pitch template that you should be ready for? So if you are pitching AI to senior stakeholders, here is the pitch template. For example, in exploding, you can say we have 67% adoption across 6 teams. We are now building the measurement infrastructure to quantify dollar value. This is your exploding stage. If you go to stage 2, that is optimizing, you can say our AI tool saved these many hours, worth this much, against this much in cost. Engineering saw a biggest gains of this much. This is your optimizing. Then you can go for enhancing. AI assisted support reduce resolution time by 34%. So you are enhancing your existing processes. Okay. And then you are saying this is my 1.2 million churn risk this quarter. So some number you can talk about in terms of enhancement. And then you can transform. This is the stage where everyone is trying to go. Our AI recommendation generated 4.2 million in attributable incremental revenue with a 12-month payback on our 1.8 million investment. So this is the competitive advantage. This is the final stage, transforming. So in all these stages, you should talk numbers with the stakeholders, but measure different things, right? This is again an important slide for you. And now we are going to see a live demo. I have plugged in some numbers just to show you how the dashboard can look like when you talk to leaders. So this is the project I was talking about, guys. I can give you this in GitHub if you comment me that you want this project, but nowadays you are not commenting on my videos, so I'm not sure if you are liking these deep content or not. But my job is to make you a differentiating guy on the floor, not the other guy who just understands the tool. I want you to operate at a different altitude. So just understand these things. Okay. So this is how your enterprise AI ROI dashboard can look like. All these numbers are dummy numbers just plugged in. This could be your total AI queries. Okay. These many queries. This could be your total AI spend. This could be the hours saved. This could be the dollar value generated. And this could be the net ROI. So this is a high level executive summary. And what you can do is you can create a chart for monthly what is happening like this. Okay. And you can create a chart for monthly ROI like this. This is something what leaders want to see. If you can show that monthly ROI is increasing, they will be very happy. and you will get more money in your AI initiatives. ROI summary is basically this one. Your AI investment of this generated this much in productivity, representing this much investment. Cost per hour saved this much, cost per query this much, and value this much. How ROI calculated? Same way like we discussed. Basically you take effort, you multiply that with what is saving, and then you take the cost and compute the percentage. Okay, so same way we are computing here. Now if you see on the left hand side, we have exploring, optimizing, enhancing, and transforming. So in these 4 stages we can measure different things. Average hourly rate of my resource I can increase or decrease. So if I increase or decrease this, right, you will see that the numbers on the right hand side changes. Okay, so if I take expensive resource, right hand side number will change. If I increase the platform API cost right here, you will see that the ROI will start coming down. So you see net ROI has come down because monthly API platform cost I am increasing. Understand these economics. Okay, then you can go to tool economics in tab 2. Here you can see internal RAG is consuming this much, Copilot is consuming this much, Cloud API this much, GPT-4o this much, Gemini Pro this much. So which tools is consuming how much money and what is the return on investment. If you can see here, you can go for a cost distribution where you can show spend share by tool, and then tool by tool you can see what is the performance, what is the response, etc. Then team adoption is very important. You have to show which team is adopting it well and which team is lagging behind. So engineering, customer support, marketing, finance, legal, HR, or within your teams also you can create different buckets and you can create the charts once you have the numbers to compare and once you have the savings to see. So if you see these, right, you will know that engineering team 85% adoption, these are the queries fired, these are the hours saved, and these are the dollar value. This is the satisfaction. Similarly, customer support, queries fired, hours saved, values, satisfaction. Similarly, marketing. So basically different teams, how much they are using, how satisfied they are, and what is the value saved. Okay, and then you can take the action based on this.